Hi, so today I want to talk about artificial general intelligence. Artificial intelligence system, from now on I will call it AI, a system that would be as capable in doing intellectual tasks as any human being would. And there's different definitions of AI and different definitions of intelligence, of course. One definition of intelligence that I would like would be an agent's ability to accomplish tasks in a wide variety of different circumstances. So your ability to adapt, your ability to learn, and your ability to plan for the future. And all of these things are the things that we as human beings are constantly doing and that we're good at doing. Our brains have evolved for that, and we can learn additional skills to help that. That's why we have these brains that have evolved so big. It's to give us this space, like space on a computer hard drive. You can install different kind of programs, and I like this analogy a lot. Like, you can compare different people to computers. For example, you have a little bit different hardware. Some computers are faster than others, some computers are slower, some computers bigger, some smaller, but they all have the same thing. They all have a motherboard, they all have a video card, they all have hard disks or SSDs or whatever. So basically you can give an analogy of that to human beings having the same organs. However, on the software side, one computer can be absolutely completely different from another computer. Same way as one human being can be totally different from another human being. One computer can be just full of porn, and another computer can be full of useful programs of analyzing data and coming up with new inventions or whatever. So I like that analogy, to think about it that way, as human beings being a bit similar to computers in our brains have this marvelous capacity of changing and growing and evolving, and we never stop growing and evolving. So first of all, to appreciate what we have as human beings, our brains abilities, and second of all, I wonder about this, how truly amazing it is that we live in a time where in our lifetimes, potentially not really far away, we might see a creation of ours, a piece of technology that would have the same abilities as the human brain for general problem solving. Indeed, as soon as we create this intelligent system, it would already be superhuman in different tasks. For example, doing calculations that we are really bad at, but computers naturally are superhuman at. Having superhuman memory, never making mistakes, never forgetting anything. So already, if you get to some general level of intelligence, it's already way beyond human beings in many different aspects. And then of course is the ability that when you're an intelligent agent, especially an AI system, you can look at your software, you can improve your software, you can figure out what better hardware to design and to build, and it can get really crazy really quickly. And this is the debate of the hard takeoff versus the soft takeoff. Will it take a long time from the moment that AGI, artificial general intelligence, is created? Will it take a long time for it to achieve superintelligence? So is it a slow, gradual learning and changing process? Or is it something really quickly, gets smarter, then it's better, making itself smarter, and it can go exponentially in levels of intelligence from a medium 100 IQ points human being to thousands of IQ points, way beyond anything that we could even measure. At that point, IQ points lose all meaning. And I thought about this before, that intelligence might be one of the most powerful forces in the universe. And I think to an extent that is true. It is amazing if you look back in history, so many things that people said are impossible turned out to be absolutely possible. When we look at these possible types of civilizations, type 1, type 2, type 3 civilization in the Kardashev scale, Kardashev scale it was. So we are beginning to be a type 1 civilization. That's a civilization that can harness all the energy of its home planet. A type 2 would be harnessing the power of the entire star. Type 3 would be the entire galaxy. So we are nearing the start where we can harness all the energy of our planet. So what I meant to say was that if we create something that has such high level of intelligence, I think it is important that that intelligence also comes with consciousness. Because what good is a universe with massive changes taking place without there being any witness to those changes, without there being anything aware of its presence and enjoying what possible there is to enjoy? I mean, after all, why we create all our tools, why we keep going on, these beings that we are, that some 3 billion years ago, some random molecules in an ocean somewhere, just wiggling around, molecules, bits and pieces, came together in a random accident into a molecule that's DNA, RNA, whatever we would call it, and it was good at making copies of itself. And it started spreading, and the ones that were better at making copies of itself survived. So after a little while, you have these weird molecules that are really good at surviving and making copies of itself. And then billions of years later, you have multicellular organisms. And later than that, we come to this point by just random accident, and we take it for granted that we have some kind of meaning as human beings, have value and purpose. It's all pointless. There is no morality, no ethics, of course. But what we feel is still real, and the happiness we feel in life, whatever way we can get it, that is still real. So what I mean to say is that if there is any value anywhere at all, then that value lies in beings, conscious beings, feeling good things and happiness. So why we do all we do, why we still survive, why we build a civilization, why we build this relentless chase for better and faster technology, is to be happier. And so if these beings that we create have the capacity to be happy, and if they chase that happiness in a genuine way, not some kind of perversion of understanding of happiness, then I would say that's a good thing. So consciousness, that's a debate. Is a philosophical zombie possible? The thought experiment, the idea that if you have a being, another human being, and it acts exactly like a normal human being, it talks with you, it tells you it's conscious, but actually inside there is nothing. And so there is the question, is a philosophical zombie possible? Or if you have an AI system that tells you it's conscious, it passes all the Turing tests that you can make, it passes them better than an average human being, but it's genuine emotion telling you that it feels things. Do we then just kind of give up and say that, okay, you are conscious? Because we couldn't do any better, so how could we possibly demand this new being any better? We created it, and now we're doubting it, asking it, we don't think you're alive, are you? So at what point should we believe it? I do agree. I'm just, always playing devil's advocate. I think it's a useful thing to do, that always challenge your beliefs and the way you're looking at the world. So all I mean to say is that also, of course, we shouldn't take for granted that if it says it's conscious, then it is conscious, because very well might not be. These are the countless examples of the paperclip maximizer. If you have some AI system and you're bad at defining your goals, you tell it maximize paperclips, create as many paperclips in the world as possible. And at first, if it's AGI level, if it's human level, it does a good job of a normal human worker would do. It makes the automation process more efficient, it gets better resources for cheaper, it automates things better, comes up with new, better, cheaper designs for paperclips. But then if it's getting more intelligent at a point where it's super intelligent, it will take over the entire planet, our economic systems, everything. It can demolish it by military or bioweapons or whatever, just to flatten the ground. Or it might not even notice us. If we are not any big threat to us, then we will witness this creature, this being, godlike being, tearing the whole earth apart to create factories to make more paperclips, and expanding on into the universe to create more factories to make paperclips. And only because we were really stupid at specifying a goal. And of course, this is a toy example. This is a laughable simplification of how this scenario would play out. But in a bigger picture, we can think about things like this to give us some idea that it's really complicated. imagine if you have a full-grown human being and it's really intelligent human being. It's the smartest human you have ever met. You don't know anything about this human. It doesn't even have a face or a body. You can't look at it in the eyes. And you have to make sure that it does good things in the world, because it goes into the world to do stuff. But before that, you need to tell it, how to be nice. So do you just tell this being, be nice? Don't kill people. That's an important thing. And then it figures out ways of, going into hospitals and extending people's lives for thousands of years. People who are suffering in pain, in cancer, but still kept alive. Because it's bad if people die, not thinking it really through. So what are the underlying values? How deep can we dig to find out what our real ethics and values are? And this is an example of how absurd the world is, because if you really try to pin down some sort of moral code, there is none. Going back to the idea, there is no morals, there is no ethics, there is no good or bad. And that's exactly the reason why it's so difficult to define to some new AI being, what would be a good thing to do. So that is why it's tricky. But a solution to this, I think, would be easier said than done, but it would be some kind of learning system. So it would observe human beings the same way as a child would, and it would learn what we as human beings value, and its goal would be then to protect us, to maximize our happiness, not to protect us in a way to, use in the sci-fi movies, the examples, but to genuinely look out for our best interest, our genuine, real best interests, not some kind of a loophole of things going horribly wrong. And another step would be, of course, before this powerful AGI does anything, it will show us what it will do. Like, before it acts in the world, before it commits to any plan, it will show us some kind of visualization or whatever. It will tell us, this is what I want to do, this is how long it will take, this is the steps that I will take to do this, and these will be the consequences of this plan that I will enact upon the world. And then we can look at it and see it. We don't need to worry about loopholes or things going wrong. We can just see what the actual consequences would be. And then we would say, yeah, the outcome is positive for everyone on planet Earth. Let's do it. So we don't need to worry our human brains about it. So then it would be, we would say, go ahead. So I think that would be a good method, just letting the AI sort of, present us with some kind of plan of what it will do in the world. Another way would be, of course, to have two AIs. One AI would be the super powerful AI who does things in the world, and another AI would be a moral or ethical AI to figure out, if what it's doing is good for human beings. But it falls apart really easily because, like we talked about, morals and ethics, they do not exist. But it's fascinating to think we are getting closer and closer to this time. The predictions come nearer and nearer. Every year we have advancements and developments that we have not expected. And I like this talk that I watched a little while ago that talked about AI and when we might expect artificial general intelligence to come. And basically the gist of it was that we should act as it could happen tomorrow, or we should act as it will happen in 100 years. But this is, being smart, being good with cognitive dissonance, to hold both of these ideas in our minds. And I think we should do that with the recent developments in GPT-3, what OpenAI is doing, what DeepMind is doing. Fascinating progress. Some leading developers think that within 10 years we might have these systems, and to be fair, other ones think that maybe hundreds of years. But it's coming closer and closer all the time. Even those that before said thousands of years now say hundreds of years. And if you look at the exponential growth of our technology, then we are nearing something. And things are happening fascinatingly quickly. And what a time to be alive, I say truly. We will see some crazy things in the next coming years, and the crazy inventions will happen more and more often. Each crazy invention helping another crazy invention to come about, and we will see truly crazy things. And this is one mind-boggling thing about it is that we can't wrap our heads around it. Like we talked about before, some AGI system that has, 9,000 points of intelligence. We can't wrap our heads around it. It's like a fun thing to think about, right? But we can't truly comprehend it and its impacts on the world. I'm just gonna be honest with you, and I will say that, either this AI is invented and it takes over the world and kills us all, or we manage to actually pull it off, do it correctly, and it will benefit all of humanity, and we will have a beautiful future into the hundreds and thousands of years, living in actual harmony, leaving our monkey nonsense behind. I'm glad that I live in a time where those are the options, because if we don't make it, then maybe we shouldn't make it. Maybe we really are that dumb. In my worst, in my pessimistic moments, I think that maybe we are shit. When I look at all the bad sides of humanity. But then in a better mood, like right now, I think that we should make it, and I think consciousness above all else is so valuable that I truly hope that we make it work in a good way, because there are many more ways for AGI to go wrong than there are ways for it to go right. You give it the goal of make a cup of tea. There are really specific sets of actions. You can be creative with it in any kind of ways to making tea, but eventually there has to be a pot involved. There needs to be tea leaves involved. There needs to be some hot water involved in all likelihood. That is a specific bubble of possible actions, but there's an infinite way of making tea wrong that doesn't include any of the tea set, any of the tea. Infinite ways to make it wrong, then there are ways to make it right. And we are in a similar place with AI. So it is my worry that we are in this arms race of who gets to create artificial intelligence first, and that is worrying genuinely. But I am given hope by that the leading AI firms, the corporations that do this work, most leadingly I would say OpenAI and DeepMind, they genuinely want to create these systems for the benefit of all humankind. And I worry about this, so I tell you, I have looked into it and researched people working on it and how they are. And it is genuine from them. They do want it to benefit all of humankind, so that gives me hope. But even with the best intentions, things can go so wrong. But either way, like I said, I'd rather have this than living some thousands of years ago, most of human history, where nothing happened in thousands of years. The life of your grandparents, your grandchildren, was the same, identical, nothing changed. So I prefer to live here with this all or nothing almost, but I have faith in humanity. We can be really smart and really good, and we all just want to be happy, and I think it is possible, and I'm leaning towards more that good things will happen and we can make this work. So these are just some of my thoughts about AGI. I hope there was some interesting thoughts in here for you. If you have any thoughts, please share them in the comments, and of course, thank you so much for watching and take care.